One of the most epic, lavish, and ambitious debut albums of 1982 was by an English band that named themselves after a Shakespeare comedy. I am talking about Twelfth Night, and from the album Fact and Fiction, the epic three-part suite, We Are Sane. Okay, TDM Part 1. In upstairs rooms, the meals are eaten, the car's in the garage ready to go. Some kind of a pedestrian scene so far. Disco baby shed no tear, hot light overhead, shaking meat. Shaking meat as in flesh meat, and meat as in greeting meat. The two words back to back. Shaking meat. Ho ho weekend, ha ha party, moo moo sacred cow. Getting kind of, this is. Your guess is as good as mine so far as to where this is gonna go.
The White House Sundays on the lawn, well-kept pedigree, snap over bones, surplus requirements, appetite angel going down.
The White House some days on the lawn, well-kept pedigree, snap over bones, surplus requirements, appetite angel going down. Quite metaphorical.
Meanwhile, below, reports flock into the in trays. Meanwhile, below, reports flock into the in trays. She stares out of her window. Her will is still in bed. She has no memory of herself, for care has drained her head.
Okay, we're now in part 2. We are saying this soliloquy that you heard a moment ago. The lyrics read, "Meanwhile below, reports flop into the in trays. Meanwhile below, reports flop into the in trays." And then the verse, "She stares out of her window. Her will is still in bed. She has no memory of herself, for care has drained her head." The poster on the billboard says she should paint her lips like the smiles on the TV people. It looks like we're kind of in an upstairs downstairs narrative here. Rich and poor, and she's kind of, I guess maybe they said White House, so maybe like a White House intern is what this is about.
The poster on the billboard says she should paint her lips like the smiles on the TV people. What'd you call this, Mary?
is like the third song I've like I've submitted to this within the last several hours where I've been hearing like this keyboard line, this synth line that reminds me of John Fox's Underpass. I'm hearing like a no. I'm hearing this little like fugue type figure.
If the thought processes of an individual can be permanently limited to the point of strict conformity to an outside source of thought, the said individual need no longer be considered as such. The enforcement of order becomes possible for anybody with enough power to control what is projected. Would you file this, please, Mary? See? Mary? It's all...
Vocalist Geoff Mann seems to have entered another soliloquy here. Well, it was faint, but file number 1 it says, and then in quotation marks, the next 5 lines in quotation marks. Oh, a dialogue apparently. If the thought processes of an individual can be permanently limited to the point of strict conformity to an outside source of thought, the said individual need no longer be considered as such. The enforcement of order becomes possible for anybody with enough power to control what is projected. And then another person says, see, and then the first person says, it's all quite simple. And the second person says, shouts, Mary. It looks like it might be examining the concept of selfhood, rational selfhood versus like, I don't kind of like already not to like place the band on the spectrum yet, but this could be going in the direction of, say, Randian rational selfhood versus post-structuralist anti-selfhood sort of thing.
This woman's place is in our home. Society has judged. She does not fit official standards, and they cannot be budged. There's something in her eyes that says the struggle's come to death, and there's no comfort in the thought of watching acolytes and then try to time fight back from the start. Excess profit has the right to spread the message. We are sane, not insane. She reads about our will to power, papers full of lies. She hears it every time she breathes. Some foreign kitty dies. She's convinced it's her fault. She's tortured by the strain, and words of judgment pour out of the mouth of those who make their mind by keeping people in the dark. Those who might listen, they bother loudly shouting, we are sane, not insane.
Okay, a lot of lyrics to take in here. This woman's place is in a home. Society is judged. She does not fit official standards, and they cannot be budged. There's something in her eyes that says the struggle's gone too deep, and there's no comfort in the thought of watching acolytes of doubt try hard to fight their problems out. Excess profit has the clout to spread the message. Some of these maybe some of these lines like merit kind of like a pause for analysis, like excess profit has the clout, meaning money talks and BS walks. I get a sense of that this character is facing that that question in life: is this all there is? A question that was posed in the early 1960s by some of the early women's social commentary writers. Like that one book that came out in 1963, I think the the tagline of it was, or the underlying subtext was, is this all there is? We are sane, not insane. She reads about a will to power in papers full of lies. She hears that every time she breathes, some foreign kitty dies. Oh yeah, foreign policy. She's convinced it's her fault. She's tortured by the strain. Oh, yeah. Okay, you know, like idealism here in this country, where some people feel that by just being part of the system that they're, you know, responsible for that they're in part responsible for some of the situations like halfway around the world. As words of judgment pour out of the mouths of those who make their mark, by keeping people in the dark. Oh yeah, the people that, you know, the masses who don't really know what about the power behind the throne, or what the government's doing in other parts of the world. Those who bite worse than they bark are loudly shouting. That would reference the protesters, I believe. People who are all rhetoric but are really just going around making noise. We are sane, not insane.
It's all quite normal. It's all quite normal.
I think it's normal.
Say no different way except what they've been told to name. Accepting their limited truth and rightly humming. We are and we are not to blame. We must protect.
The key centers are very easy to pick out, despite some of the band's influences. You can tell that they're basically just been going around through like A, E, and just playing little kind of fugue-like keyboard bits over the top.
Using sacred science, they can stamp out defiance.
Okay, now we've entered part 3, but before I read over that, the final part of part 2, the We Are Sane, the main portion, and the chorus says, it's all quite normal, la la la, and the chorus says, it's all, la la la. The choruses are happy as they know no different way. They're talking about people, about masses getting in lockstep with, what they've been told to accept what they've been told today, left, right, accepting their limited truth and blankly humming. Some of this could really apply today as much as ever. We are sane, Geoff Mann shouts again, and then it goes into part 3, dictators, excuse me. And we are not to blame, we must protect the claim. Praise those who hold power, they shall save the last hour. Using sacred science, they can stamp out defiance, we. Yeah. They shall save the last hour may be that in the end they will be the ones determining whether Armageddon occurs, whether the world ends. And either way we should thank them, because at least they'll be the ones to extend our lives out to that hour. Kind of like it reminds me of it has me thinking of Jim Jones's Inner Core, like on November 18th, 1978, like in the Pavilion, where one of his secondhand men said to a woman in the audience who was challenging Jones, he says, "Your life has been extended to this day because of Father," as they called Jones, meaning he was trying to convince people that they would have died a lot sooner had they stayed in America, because he was telling them, of course, that he was telling his congregation down in the jungles of Guyana that that America was like already under siege, that it was already a civil war, that minorities were being put in concentration camps, blah blah blah, that the KKK was forming militias like all over the borders and everything. And that down in the promised land, the jungles of Guyana, they at least got to live like, I don't know, a year longer than they would have lived if they had stayed in the U.S. And since everyone on that compound was cut off from the outside world, didn't have any access to outside news, they believed him. I guess I hear like a faint Hackett-like tone in that guitar work, those ghostly sustained bends. Now this is a bit more arcane in terms of its like key centers and such, mixed with the sounds. Yeah, going into some flats and sharps, some strange minors.
Technician, we want you to build a component for each of our workers to be with them always at all time. Watch closely so we can keep track of their actions, their interests, their morals, their timeouts. Some music to make them, some fear to contain them. Policy will judge them, brute forces degrade them. Practical behavior, the cleanser, the savior, our private vocation has no sense of nation.
Let's catch up with some lyrics here. Okay, we're in part 3 of the suite. Dictators, excuse me. A couple of verses down. File number 2. Technician, we want you to build a component. Oh, this is more like spoken word. This is in quotation marks here. Technician, we want you to build a component for each of our workers to be with them always. At all time, watch closely so we can keep track of their actions, their interests, their morals, their timeout. This is taking on more of a Big Brother kind of theme. Some Muzak to name them, some fear to contain them. Policy will judge, then brute forces degrade them. Practical behavior, the cleanser, the savior, a private vocation, has no sense of nation. The maintenance of power can be so fulfilling, just as long as all the slaves are willing. That's, yeah, kind of like when certain, I don't know, political entities think that they're entitled to, like, the entirety of a particular demographic, or, without question. So this is an order. We must curb thought disorder. with a miniature transmitter, we can Pavlov the litter and train it to do as we tell it. State surgeon the seed plant. Thought soon get a new slant. So tiny a dogma idea turned to quagmire. Thrum humming transistor of brainwave and sister. Closed circuit hypnosis and inbuilt psychosis. Not one self-expression, deliberate suppression. A cycle to squeeze out anyone who we doubt. Will must be, like as in human will, must be pliable to be reliable. Tuned into the media system, picture getting hard to see. How did you end up as a prisoner when you were supposed to be free? Oh, that now I should say that the last four lines I read were the end of the quote ended with "will must be pliable to be reliable." All those really measured lines, like those couplets within each line.
Maintenance of power can be so fulfilling. Just so long as all the slaves are willing. So this is another. We must comfort this other with a miniature transmitter. We can come up. Train it to do what we tell it. Stay urgent, the same plan, watching it, a user, so tiny, and dogma, idea, to proper, good humming, transistor, a brainwave, insistent, closed circuit, hypnosis, and inbuilt psychosis, like one self-expression, deliberate suppression, a cycle to squeeze out anyone who we doubt will not be liable to be reliable. Turn into the media system, picture getting hard to see.
Some of those lines, some of the cadences in which it was sung, are reminding me of another heavily Genesis-influenced band, Kyrie Eleison. I'm thinking of the track Lenny, off The Fountain Beyond the Sunrise. There's a section toward the end where he's singing these lines rapid fire with a similar measure and meter and all.
Wouldn't you like to know?
That's the final couple of stanzas here. Tuned into the media system, picture getting hard to see. How did you end up as a prisoner when you were supposed to be free? So that's very telling, and there's a lot of that today. People, living in a free country and yet becoming enslaved by their own lack of discerning, their inability to discern, truth and principle from hyperbole, and their inability to sniff out emotional manipulation and to call it out and to become a subject of emotional manipulation. And when you see certain people kind of living almost in like an alternate fact realm, just believing what they want to believe about the current, power paradigm in this country, the results of elections, if it didn't go the way they planned or the way they expected or the way they demanded or thought, there must be some conspiracy, oh, no way could there just be other people, marching to the beat of a different drum. Oh, wouldn't you like to know? Lebrin Sram for Megalomania. Endless song with one refrain. All eyes fixed upon the conductor. Baton taps inside the brain. Okay, that last one was getting a little bit more more oblique, but it's basically just kind of reiterating what the prior stanzas said, only using musical metaphors for it, music, song and dance metaphors for it, let's say. I think the most compelling part of this epic was the riff that was driving part three, that dun dun na 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 na, that anyway, that was Twelfth Night, the epic We Are Sane from the album Fact and Fiction. Vocals by Geoff, Mann, and let's see, keyboards, bass, and classical guitar by Clive, Mitten, drums by Brian Devoil. I don't reckon that any of these guys came to the band with much. I think they were all spring chickens. Oh yeah, Clive Mitten, born 1959. Yeah, these were young guys. Let's see, and produced by Andy MacPherson and Twelfth Night. This band would kind of have a sporadic output, but later on, like, more material would surface. In fact, a lot of their best material was recorded before their first album, when they were a bit more kind of space rock. Like Live at the Target from 1981 is arguably a stronger album all the way through than this one. Anyway, for more Rubies and Sapphires from Twelfth Night, see the album directory of English tea artists, linked in the description, and like and subscribe. And until next time, this is Zaragon, the world's most ear-traveled tri-maximalist, signing off.